What is going on, everybody? It's the France, and we're here for a SmackDown Live review for September the 4th, 2020. We are past Payback. Universal Champion Roman Reigns made his first words of why and what he's up to since his return at SummerSlam, and we're on our way to Clash of Champions, where tonight we would find out who would face Roman Reigns in 3 weeks from Sunday. And boy, oh boy, is it not who you think it would be. Now, the match was advertised. Big E versus Matt Riddle versus Sheamus versus Baron Corbin. Just looking at that roster alone, none of them deserve a shot or worthy of a shot at the Universal Championship. Big E has just started his singles run as being part of the New Day. He is way too soon on getting a title shot. Sheamus lost to Big E at the pay-per-view. Matt Riddle, no. He's flip-flopping on wins and losses already. Why should he get a championship opportunity? And do we really need to see Roman Reigns versus Baron Corbin again for the millionth time? No. Unfortunately, one of these gentlemen do not make that match tonight, and the replacement is somebody unexpected, and yeah, we'll talk about that later. But we start the show off with Roman Reigns and Paul Heyman. Roman Reigns, every time he would come out outside of the night that he relinquished the Universal Championship back in, 2018, he would come out dressed like he's going to wrestle, with the vest on, gloves on, his wrestling pants on, his boots. Tonight, no. He came out with a t-shirt on that said "Show Up and Win." No gloves, no nothing but a wristwatch, t-shirt, sweatpants, and tennis shoes. Perfect way he should be looking as a heel. He's not coming for battle. He's coming to show up and win. That's all he's here to do. So he comes in. Paul Heyman comes up too. Roman Reigns stands in the middle of the ring holding the championship just like a Brock Lesnar would do. He raises the title again, fireworks go off. Heyman takes the mic and says, when you thought Heyman was out, he pulls me back in. He's pointing to Roman Reigns. Heyman tells fans that not to make a fool out of themselves for saying that he was corrupting, and the way he's delivering this, by the way, when he's with Brock Lesnar, Paul Heyman is loud. He's like getting it. It's like in your face type thing. Here, he is talking low, and he has the most serious voice the most serious voice he's had. Everything he wants to say to you, he wants to stab it into your head. And make sure you don't forget what he says. I loved this entire promo from Paul Heyman. This was one of the best promos Paul Heyman put out there. But it wasn't him who was corrupting Roman. It was Roman corrupting him. Because he can assure us that it's Roman corrupting him. Why would this happen? Because Heyman was gone, tossed aside, thrown into the shark-infested ocean of obscurity, only to be rescued and saved and pulled onto the island of relevancy by this man. Because they did the exact same thing to Roman as they did to me. What happened to thank yous and the appreciation through all the executive decisions to life-threatening illnesses? Reigns has delivered and over-delivered in some circumstances. Nobody offered to say thank you or even offer genuine appreciation. Reigns' little bit of time off was questioned. And what did they do to his title? They gave it to a monster and a fiend. A fiend is not a champion you want. A fiend does fiendish things. A monster is not championship material. A monster does monster things. And then he's like, oh, well, hey, here's the WWE Universal Champion. How's it feel being Universal Champion? And then he does, oh, great choice. Just great choice, Vince. He didn't say Vince, but he's like, great choice. Roman's reign as your champion has only been defined by what WWE purports itself to be built on. Family, tradition, legacy, the responsibility of being champion, and the accountability of owning one's actions as your champion. And that is who Heyman says this champion is. He brings up the Raw had a triple threat match to determine the Classic Champion opponent for WWE Champion Drew McIntyre. Reigns, he points out at Reigns and says the champion will be bigger, badder, more sensational, and more spectacular than anyone else that has come before him. While they had a triple threat on Raw, we will have a fatal four-way tonight. The winner will become the sacrificial lamb of the big dog at Clash of Champions. Heyman says the name of all four competitors, which was Big E, Sheamus, Corbin, and Riddle, don't deserve to, he didn't say their names, but he's like, they don't deserve to come out of his mouth or Reigns', so he'll leave that to Anderson Cooper and Carmella's latest boyfriend. Which, I'm sorry, I had to pop for. I thought that was the fun. I thought that was the funny line of the night. Heyman goes on and says he serves as special counsel to the tribal chief. Your reigning, defending, undisputed Universal Champion, Roman Reigns. Do not stick with the tribal chief. That will kill this heel turn. Plain and simple. That is the dumbest fucking name they could have come up with. Are you kidding me? The tribal chief. I know he's Samoan. That's a little racist, don't you think? That's a little, what do you want to say? A little, that's not, no thank you. Let's just keep that out of here. He's the big dog. That's something they've stuck with for years. It works for him. Just stick with it. Reigns takes the mic and says he's the man of his word. He did exactly what he was going to do. Signed the contract, wrecked the Fiend, wrecked the Monster, then left as the Universal Champion. And at Clash of Champions, he doesn't care whose he faces. Line them up. Feed them all to him because this is his island. When you have this kind of power, all you got to do is show up and win. Believe that. And then he just stares with the most evil, pissed off look he can muster. Drops the mic. Music starts back up. And that was that. Really good opening segment. But they need to change his music. I see people's like, oh, he still feels like the same Roman Reigns as he was as a babyface. Music would be great to change. Unless he's going to change his gear, which I don't think he's going to change his gear. WWE wants to sell those vests that he wears. But I just don't see anything else they can change. Unless they're going to have him shave his beard, his mustache, his sideburns, his hair. Have him go completely bald like The Rock. No. Other than that, I don't know what they could have changed for Roman Reigns besides just his music. But it's like, until they change his music, it just feels like they're not committing completely to the Roman Reigns heel turn. I mean, you made Keith Lee dump his music, have Roman Reigns dump him, give him something different that fits the heel turn. That's just me. Still to come, the Golden Robots will take on the tag team champions to try and get their tag team titles back. We'll talk about that in a bit because Michael Cole said something blasphemous when it came to that match. So, okay, I didn't realize that was a number one contenders match, but Heavy Machinery took on Miz and Morrison, and apparently it was a number one contenders match. I didn't hear that. Don't think it was, but okay. So, Otis and Tucker come out with the briefcase, Money in the Bank briefcase, and the lunchbox. So it looks like a Money in the Bank briefcase. So, back from break, and we have a video of 2020 campaign for pediatric cancer with Jey Uso, Reigns greeting him. Roman Reigns is walking backstage with Paul Heyman. They walk up on Jey Uso and Reigns greet him. Jay mentions trying to get in touch with Reigns all week. Heyman looks at Jay like he doesn't want Reigns talking to him. Heyman walks off. Jay asks what's up with Heyman and Reigns, especially with what happened in the past with Brock Lesnar. Reigns tries to calm him down, saying everything is straight up. Let him handle it. Jay tells Reigns that if he needs someone to watch his back, he is here. Reigns says he's got it, but if Jay needs him, just holler. Reigns walks off. Jay jokes about grabbing a steak together after the show. We go back to the ring, and out comes Miz and Morrison, which that did not show up on my feed of SmackDown. I don't know what's up with my Fox affiliate, but that segment right there, I missed completely because it did not come up back to SmackDown until it was Miz and Morrison coming to the ring. So I don't know what the hell was happening. I don't know if I was the only one that had that problem, but yeah, I missed that completely. By the way, I'm getting my results from WrestleZone, WrestlingInc.com. It's where it's so much easier doing that than anything else. But yeah, I didn't see that for some reason. So Otis starts off with the Miz. Miz takes control. Otis manhandles Miz. Miz looks to get an opening on it, but Otis levels him with a shoulder. Tucker tags in. Little match here. Miz starts kicking and distracted Otis in the ring, but that does nothing. He starts doing his version of the Hulk up, which is him shaking his stomach, doing his belly dance. Otis catches the kick and launches Miz over his head with a throw. Morrison comes in and he also gets stumped over his head with a throw. Otis with a double splash in the corner. Otis calls for the caterpillar, hits it on the Miz, climbs up for whatever reason, hits a Vader bomb, 1, 2, 3, and gets the win. Now, I will say, if he's adding the Vader bomb to his repertoire after a caterpillar, I'm all for it. I think it was kind of stupid having him do an elbow drop like that and getting the win. Having him do the Vader bomb after, I think, adds to it. The caterpillar elbow drop is the setup. The Vader bomb is the dot on the I, the period at the end of the sentence, plain and simple. When it says finish with that dot, that is the Vader bomb. If that's going to be from here on out, I am all for it. After the match, Tucker and Otis stand tall in the ring and hit the music. Morrison runs up and grabs the Money in the Bank briefcase and runs away with it. This I did not like. Because, and I didn't like it at the time, but I understand now why it did what it did. Because they just sit there and do nothing. He's running away. He's like, oh yes, finally. I missed the Money in the Bank. Yeah, I got this. And they're just sitting there doing nothing. They're watching this guy walk away with presumably the Money in the Bank contract. And Morrison just leaves. And it's just like, why aren't they getting out of the ring and chasing this guy down? Well, spoiler alert, later on in the show, towards the, before we really get into the championship match at the end, the number one contendership match at the end, we go to the back again, and Otis looks fine, and Tucker is like, I can't find Miz and Morrison. And he's like, well, he just stole the Money in the Bank contract. And Otis is like, dude, I don't carry the Money in the Bank contract in that briefcase. I keep it in this one. And he holds up the lunch pail, opens it up, and the briefcase and the Money in the Bank contract is inside the lunch pail. We go to Miz and Morrison. They open the briefcase. We don't see what's actually inside. They pull a couple things out, like a ham sandwich, some ear cleaners, stapler for whatever reason. So, yeah. It's one of those things that you get pissed off, and it's like they look like geeks to start out with, but it actually shows that Otis is a lot smarter than people give him credit for, because he hid the Money in the Bank briefcase, the Money in the Bank contract in the lunchbox, while Miz and Morrison grabbed the briefcase thinking it was in there. So I will give that one to Otis for sure. Bayley is backstage with Drew Gulak and Lucha House Party. He has a birthday cake and some party favors. He says tonight is a special because it's Xavier Woods' return to co-host Talking Smack, which he will be doing tomorrow morning. I will be checking that out. He says tonight is special because it's Xavier Woods' return and it's Woods' 34th birthday. He tells the others that tonight is special because he will earn a Universal title shot. A security guard walks up and tells him Woods has just arrived. Big E follows him and walks off to greet Woods. He has the cake with him when all of a sudden he is attacked by Sheamus. Sheamus beats the hell out of him, tosses him into a garage door, hits the bro kick, takes him over to a car, slams him on top of the hood, picks him up for white noise, and drops him back first into the windshield. And Big E is done for the night. I said earlier that yes, it was too early for Big E to be getting a title shot. Plain and simple, too early. But who would be joining that match later on? We'll get to that in a second. Back from break, and the officials are checking on Big E during the break. We also laid out on the shadow windshield. We see replays of what happened. Caitlin Braxton is backstage. Big E is in the background with the medics, who is loading him into a stretcher. Kayla says Big E suffered some major lacerations, likely after serious internal injuries, and will be taken to a local medical facility as soon as possible. Okay, I can understand the lacerations part, but how do the fuck you know if he has any internal injuries? I mean, do you have an x-ray machine while you're there, Kayla? I mean, come the fuck on. Lacerations, I can understand. I mean, he got dropped into a windshield even though he got his full sweatsuit on. But still, just so dumb to say, he might have internal injuries. You don't fucking know that. I always hate that. Sheamus walks up and Kayla asks if he attacked Big Z because he lost at Payback. Sheamus says he did what any man would do, defend himself, as Big E came out walking, fired up about Xavier Woods being there. Sheamus says maybe Big E should get some kind of bad information on Woods arriving. Sheamus says if you want to main event and grab the brass ring, you have to stay focused. I've been focused on main eventing strategies while Big E was worried about dancing with his friends. This could have been the biggest night of Big E's career, but he let his friends drag him down again. Sheamus says you can't dwell on it, and he's got a big match to prepare for, so he gets to go. He's got to go. He walks off, comes back, looks back at Big E, takes another shot at his condition, and walks off. Then Michael Cole says the next match could be the greatest tag team match in this program's history. Michael Cole said that Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax versus Bayley and Sasha Banks could be the greatest tag team title match in SmackDown history. If it was Asuka and Shayna Baszler versus Bayley and Sasha Banks, 100% could be. 100%. But this is Nia Jax in this match. Now, granted, Bayley, Sasha Banks, and Shayna Baszler all did everything they could to make this match the best it could be. But Nia Jax is Nia Jax. And with that reputation and how bad she is overall, no. This was not going to be the greatest tag team match in SmackDown history. There are some times when Michael Cole talks that I just want to reach through the TV and just strangle his scrawny little neck. I gotta say about that. So, Elise Ashton is backstage with Sasha Banks and SmackDown Women's Champion Bayley. She brings up their recent title losses. Bayley says they had never seen Jax and Baszler team before Payback, but now they got it all figured out. And we'll get their titles back tonight. Ashton asks Bayley about Baszler making her tap. Banks yells at her and asks if she knows who she's talking to. She's SmackDown Women's Champion. She's the role model. She's my best friend. How dare you talk to her like that? She's also a founding member of the Women's Evolution. She's her best friend. Banks says they're going to get their titles back and show Baszler and Jax while they run the whole damn company. Back to commercial. Back from break, and Kayla is with WWE producer Adam Pearce. He says Big E is on his way to be checked out, but he will not be in the Fatal 4-Way tonight. He says they're still working on deciding who replaces the competitor. Paul Heyman walks up and asks Pearce to speak with Pearce in private, and they walk off together. That would play into who would take his spot, and we'll get to that in a bit. Women's Tag Team title match, Sasha Banks and Bayley versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. As we know, Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax are put together as a ragtag tag team because they need to break up Bayley and Sasha Banks and get ready for Clash of Champions, where those two will most likely have a title match. Which, after tonight, it's like, we'll talk about it in a minute because, my goodness, what happened after this match? Well, Baszler, again, showed you how damn good she is and why she should have beat Becky Lynch at WrestleMania. Now, early on in this match, before the bell rings, this was mistake number one from Nia Jax, how stupid she is. She's, Shayna Baszler looks like she's about to start the match. Before the bell rings, you see Nia Jax slapping her arm, wanting to tag in, even though the bell didn't ring. She does eventually get the tag. They're arguing a little bit. Bayley and Sasha Banks both come over and attack both of them. They're both on the outside. Sasha Banks and Bayley decide to try and do double baseball slides into these women, which was a dumb mistake, because both women grab them and start swinging them left and right against the barricade, just beating the hell out of them. So Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler, for the most part in this match, beat the holy hell out of both of these women. Now, Nia Jax eventually gets distracted because of Sasha Banks. Bayley takes advantage, clips her knee. Eventually, Sasha Banks comes in, gets a meteor off, gets a 2 count on that. They fight for a bit with Nia Jax, and eventually Shayna Baszler comes in. After Shayna Baszler gets tagged in, Bayley and Sasha Banks double team to powerbomb Nia Jax to the outside. She has gone for, I'd say, 95% of the rest of this match. Shayna Baszler comes in. She tries to get Akira through the clutch off on Bayley. They both stop that. They have fight. They beat, Shayna Baszler went out there like a one-woman wrecking machine, beating these two women up. And then Sasha Banks had Shayna Baszler down on the ring post by herself. She went to do the double knees into Shayna Baszler. Shayna moves. Knee off the turnbuckle, or off the ring post. She gets in, goes for her double knees in the corner. Shayna Baszler grabs her, shoves her knee into the ring post, into the turnbuckle, then a chop block to the back of Sasha Banks' leg. And Sasha Banks' knee to Shayna Baszler was like shark blood in the water for a shark, because she beats the living fuck out of her leg. She twists it, she's stomping on it like she would, over and over and over again. She does that about 3 times. She goes for the Muda lock. She was going to try and win the match the same way she did at Payback. That doesn't happen. But Nia Jax finally tags in again after Banks had the bank statement on, thanks to help of Bayley. She tags in. She's going to do a stretch muffler. Don't know who thought that was a good idea. Banks gets out of it, counters her for a roll-up for a 2. Jax grabs Banks and puts her on her shoulders, goes to climb up for a Super Samoan drop. Bayley stops that. Shayna comes over. They both grab her and powerbomb her. While this is happening, Nia Jax is getting up on the top rope, comes down with a huge crossbody, which looked really bad because of just their size. What comes up must come down, and Bayley and Sasha Banks are squashed under the size of Nia Jax. 1, 2, 3. Baszler and Jax retain. Bayley and Sasha Banks are out of rematches. They are done going for the women's tag team titles. After the match, the champs stand tall. They leave, which the referee tells them to leave. Medics enter the ring to check on Banks' leg. Cole says she suffered a very serious leg injury. Bayley looks on as we go to commercial break. We come back. The medical officials are still in the ring, and I knew this was going to go the way I thought it was, except it went a little bit further than I thought. But Bayley is also there. Banks is telling, "Get off of me! She's like, "Get the fuck off of me!" Pushing these guys off of her. Banks says, "You know what? I'll help her up." She helps her over to the ropes, gets her under the ropes, and then all of a sudden, kick to the head. Bayley just starts beating the piss out of Sasha Banks. The golden role models, the best friends, are no more. She beats her up on the outside, and then she smashes her leg against the stair steps. Then she puts it there to stomp on it. And this looked so bad. The beatdown after this looked fine, but this part looked so bad. Because Bayley's supposed to be stomping on Sasha's leg to make it look like she's trying to hurt it and damage it beyond repair so Sasha Banks can never wrestle again. But when you watch the fucking thing, and they showed it in replays too, she is giving Sasha Banks' legs the lightest stomps you will ever see. And she missed one and hit the step instead. It looked so bad. Like she was barely making contact with Sasha Banks' leg. I know it's her best friend. She doesn't want to really injure her, but you gotta make it look good, Bayley. God damn. Throws her back into the ring, beats her up some more, beats her up some more, goes out to get a chair, goes to Pillmanize her, which if you don't know what Pillmanizing means, it means you put somebody's leg in between a chair and then you stomp on it. That was something that it's called Pillmanizing. It was made famous because it happened to Brian Pillman when he had his leg get injured. But Sasha Banks fights that off. Bayley hits her with a running knee. Hits her with her finisher. I can't remember what the fuck they call it. Then she goes a lot further. And goes Kane to Shawn Michaels. And puts Sasha Banks' head into the chair. And I thought, they're going to cut away from this. This is Fox. This isn't the USA Network. This is Fox. Fox is not going to allow this to happen. Fox is going to cut the feed. No, they did not, as Bayley jumps off the top rope, stomping her foot on the chair, crushing Sasha Banks' neck and chest area. And the reason I say Kane to Shawn Michaels, because Kane did this back in 2004, 2005, 2006, one of those years, to Shawn Michaels. The only difference was there, Shawn Michaels had a blood pack in and was spewing blood everywhere. This is Fox. I'm surprised they let that happen. I knew they weren't going to let Sasha Banks be able to spew out blood to sell the injury. But that happens, and then Bayley sitting in the corner with this big smile on her face. She just possibly ended the career of her former best friend. And before she did that, she did say that she deserved everything that she got tonight. And Michael Cole asked a good question. What did Sasha Banks do to deserve this? Maybe Bayley will let us know in the coming next week. So, that friendship is over. But yeah, WWE has a women's tag team division. They broke up the Moronics on Monday. They broke up Bayley and Sasha Banks on Friday. The only two teams that you have right now are the champions and the Riot Squad. Why do they have tag team championships? They don't have any women's tag teams. I mean, if you want to count Lana and Natalya, good grief. And what they're doing with Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross is not going to be them being a tag team. So, I don't know where they're going and who the hell they're going to have for tag team contentions, because all titles have to be on the line. I guess, yeah, because Riot Squad won that tag team match on Monday. The match at Clash of Champions is going to be the Riot Squad versus Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler. But after that, if Shayna Baszler and Nia Jax beat them, or the Riot Squad beat them and Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler implode, you're going to have one tag team. What the fuck are they going to do now? What the fuck are they going to do now? Wow. So we see what happened with Bayley and Sasha Banks. Banks is being stretchered out through the back and loaded into an ambulance. The ambulance drives off. We go back into the ring, and out comes Sami Zayn with his version of the Intercontinental title. Sami Zayn is in the ring and he yells at Hamilton for not introducing him as the champion. Hamilton says it wasn't in his notes. He calls the staffer over from ringside and yells at the worker in the production truck via his headset, asking if he was listed as the Intercontinental Champion on his entrance graphic. Sami says we're going to do this whole thing again because, of course, it wasn't in his notes. But out comes Jeff Hardy. Hardy walks to the ring and says Sami could have saved everyone a time last week. He didn't have to attack. If he wanted a title shot, all he had to do was ask. Sami goes on about how he's the real champion. He doesn't need to ask for anything. Jeff needs to ask him. They're arguing back and forth. I can't understand what either one is saying. AJ Styles makes his way out to the ring. AJ rants about how he should be champion because he is the uncrowned champion, he calls himself. Hardy looks to offer AJ a title shot, and Sami asks if everyone is crazy. AJ decks Hardy with the mic, dropping him. AJ stomps away on Hardy. Sami joins in. AJ turns on Sami and kicks him in the head, then more back and forth. Twist of fate to AJ. Haluva kick to Jeff Hardy. Sami Zayn grabs his championship and runs off. So, I don't know why they're doing this like this. Now, normally you would have championship versus... you have champion versus champion, one-on-one, ladder match, fatal four, like something else. But it looks like they're going to have a triple threat match with all the championships that they have on the line. What's going to happen next? AJ Styles is going to walk out next week with his own Intercontinental Championship and say he's the uncrowned champion. Maybe he'll find the old belt that Shinsuke Nakamura won before he retired it, and Sami Zayn introduced the one that he's holding now. Yeah, so I have a feeling that with AJ Styles saying he's the uncrowned champion, he's going to walk out next week with his own title, and we're going to have a championship match at Clash of Champions. Sami Zayn versus Jeff Hardy versus AJ Styles for the rights to be called the Intercontinental Champion. Sound about right? That's where I think they're going. Corey Graves and Michael Cole reveal that Jey Uso will be replacing Big E on tonight's Fatal 4-Way. Fatal 4-Way, Matt Riddle versus Sheamus versus Baron Corbin versus Jey Uso. We go down to tonight's main event. Matt Riddle's out first. He grabs the pyro. The winner of the match will become the number one contender. We go to break after his entrance. We come back from break and announce the following stars on Talking Smack: Tag Team Champion Cesaro and Nakamura and Alexa Bliss. We go to a vignette shows a woman walking in high heels carrying a fur coat. Who that is? I don't have a fucking clue. All I know is it looked like some white chick with red heels and a fur coat. That is it. Music is playing in the background. We didn't see her face, or her body above her heels. Let's just say that. The women, let's see. Tucker can't find the title. Oh, we already talked about that. Let's see here. Jey Uso walks in on Roman and thanking him for getting him in the main event. He owes him big time. Reigns says he doesn't owe him anything. It's time they showed him respect, and Jey says he's about to get it, and then he and Reigns can turn up and tear it up at Clash of Champions. Reigns says he knows Jimmy would win it, so let's see if Jey can win one by himself. Jey laughs and leaves. Reigns wishes him good luck. We get back to the ring, and Corbin is being carried out of his caravan. Oh, before we get to that, we did have... Oh, wait, no, we're not there yet. He's fighting. So Corbin comes out. He's like, stop. How about this, show of nepotism? Jey Uso has no business being in this match just because Roman Reigns is his cousin. Which, honestly, I hate to say this, but I agree with Baron Corbin. Why the fuck is Jey Uso in this match other than his cousin? So Riddle comes down. They fight. Sheamus comes out. They are all brawling. Jey Uso comes out. Everybody's brawling. And guess what? We go back to commercial break. Back from break, and we get a short Firefly Funhouse where Bray Wyatt says he knows everyone else is like him down in the dumps because the Fiend, he lost his favorite toy again. He has something next week in the Firefly Funhouse that will cheer everyone up. A new friend will be coming to the Firefly Funhouse. So I'll see you all next week. Bye. We go to the back, and we see Nikki Cross with the biggest worried look on her face. Alexa Bliss walks up, and behind them you see Rambling Rabbit dancing about. Alexa Bliss comes up to Nikki, is like, I'm sorry for what happened last week, in her normal voice, and then she has this hypnotic, she's like in a trance when she says, I don't know what came over me. And Cross accepts her apology, they hug each other, which of course Bliss gives her that hug. If you notice, Alexa Bliss's hair, like last week she had one strand of her hair tied a different way. Now it's all over her hair. It's all over the place. Nikki Cross looks very worried about what's going to happen next week with Alexa Bliss, possibly, and The Fiend and Bray Wyatt. We'll see what happens there. We go back to the ring. We have ourselves a Fatal 4-Way. Big Pier 6 brawl. This is a knockdown, drag-out fight between these four men. And in the end, because it is what it is, Corbin tries to fight back over the barrier. Uso gets brought over the barrier, launched over the LED rows of virtual fans. Uso is down and Corbin smiles. Corbin brings Riddle into the ring. Riddle avoids the end of days, but Sheamus nails a big bro kick on Corbin. Riddle hits the bro to sleep on Sheamus. Riddle hits a floating bro on Corbin, and out of nowhere, Jey Uso with the big splash. 1, 2, 3. Jey Uso pins Matt Riddle and gets a title shot against his cousin at Clash. After the match, Cole confirms his cousin versus cousin match at Clash of Champions. Jey Uso versus Universal Champion Roman Reigns. We go to replays as Uso's music hits. Kayla's in the ring now, asking how important this victory is for him. Jey looks into the camera and tells the big dog that he made the family happy too. Tells Reigns that it's lockdown welcome. You know the rest. He says he continues to celebrate as we go to replays for the match. Celebrates as the show goes off the air. The only reason I see this happening is because Roman Reigns, as a heel, wants an easy win for his first title defense. He wants an easy win. And to him, Jey Uso is going to be an easy win. But really, this is what you have for the Universal Championship? Roman Reigns defending against a tag team wrestler? Like I said, none of the men in this match were worthy of a Universal Championship match. Because WWE doesn't know how to book contenders. AJ Styles would have been a great one if he was a babyface. With Roman Reigns being the new big heel on the brand, you had two options: Matt Riddle or Jey Uso, or Big E before he got taken out of the match. Obviously, Big E versus Sheamus is far from over, but I just don't know what they're thinking. This could have been done a hell of a lot better. I know some people are going to be out there. It's like they could have did a tournament. We have 3 weeks. We could have did a tournament. We have the first round this week, the semifinals next week, and the finals the week after that, with the winner going on to face Roman. If WWE was better at booking contenders, if Matt Riddle would have been on a winning streak, not losing to AJ Styles for the Intercontinental title and clean, not having to go through Queen Corbin, all this other shit, they would have been fine. But Jey Uso, what the fuck? And on top of that, he couldn't pin Corbin. He couldn't pin Sheamus. No. He had to pin Matt Riddle. This is why when they say that Keith Lee is going to be getting pushed to the moon on Raw, I don't fucking believe it. Because this is what they're doing with Matt Riddle. We'll have to see. Well, this will be... Okay, I got to say about this is it's going to be interesting to see where they go with this, because it's cousin versus cousin, family versus family. Will Jimmy make his return? And possibly, this is something I just thought about on top of my head while I'm recording this. What if Jimmy makes his return and turns on his brother to join Roman Reigns? Could you imagine if that's where they go with this? The reason they did Jey versus Roman is to bring back Jimmy and have Jimmy turn on Jey. So we have brother versus brother, which WWE has never been good at booking. Let me know in the comment section below what you think. Hit that subscribe button, comment down below, like or dislike this video. Find me on Twitter at The France Club. Find me on twitch.tv/The France Club. Find me on Instagram at The France Club. And I'll see you guys tomorrow for AEW All Out, as we have got the most anticipated pay-per-view of the summer coming to you tomorrow night. I can't believe it's finally here, and then unscripted on Sunday. Until then, my name is France, and I'll see you guys later.